There are betrayals that break trust. And then there are betrayals that break you. Most people think infidelity is the ultimate sin in love. It's not. Because what really destroys you isn't the act itself, it's the realization that someone could look into your eyes, know exactly how much you love them, and still decide to wound you anyway. That's not a mistake. That's cruelty disguised as care. Today, we're not talking about heartbreak, we're talking about the unforgivable acts in relationships. The ones that don't just end love, they erase identity. Every betrayal begins quietly. Not with shouting, not with broken glass, but with silence. With the small lies told politely. With the slow erosion of trust that feels almost invisible. One day, you wake up next to someone who still says, "I love you." But you feel something colder in their voice, distance wearing the mask of routine. This is how destruction hides itself. Not in drama, but in familiarity. The first unforgivable act is emotional deception. It's when someone takes advantage of your vulnerability, when your honesty becomes their leverage. They study you like a map, not to understand you, but to navigate your weaknesses. That's not love. That's strategy. And yet, you stay. Because the mind bargains with pain. It says, maybe they'll change. But cruelty doesn't change. It only refines its disguise. Carl Jung wrote that what we deny controls us. And in love, denial is a drug. We tell ourselves that it's not that bad. That every relationship has flaws. But there's a difference between flaws and patterns of harm. When someone humiliates you, isolates you, manipulates your emotions, they're not struggling. They're exercising power. The second unforgivable act is control through guilt. When love becomes a currency of fear, when affection is withheld as punishment. You start walking on eggshells. You start editing yourself. You start apologizing for existing too loudly. And one day you look in the mirror and realize. You're not even you anymore. Love without empathy is a performance. It looks like love, it talks like love, but it's hollow. The third unforgivable act is indifference. It's when they stop caring whether you're happy, sad, safe, or broken. You could be crying right in front of them, and they'll look at you like you're a problem to be solved, not a person to be held. That's the quietest kind of death. The moment someone who once reached for you now watches you drown in silence. Nietzsche said, beware that, when fighting monsters, you yourself do not become one. And yet, this is what most of us do after we've been betrayed. We become suspicious, guarded, cold. We start to mirror the very darkness that hurt us. The final unforgivable act, then, isn't what they did. It's what you let it turn you into. Because if pain turns you bitter, if betrayal makes you cruel, then they didn't just hurt you. They rewrote you. You see, love isn't destroyed in a single explosion. It dies slowly. By corrosion. By the tiny acts of disregard that accumulate until the heart stops fighting back. Philosophers say pain purifies the soul. Maybe that's true. But some pains don't cleanse, they scar. And scars don't make you stronger. They just remind you of what parts of yourself will never grow back. But there's a paradox here. To forgive what's unforgivable isn't about them. It's about you. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It means releasing the weight they left on your spine. You don't have to rebuild the bridge. You just have to stop walking across it in your mind. Because survival isn't the same as healing. You survive when you adapt. You heal when you remember who you were before you were taught to doubt your worth. Every person who's ever been betrayed eventually stands before a mirror and asks, was it my fault? No. But the question is necessary, because healing starts with self-awareness, not blame. You can't control cruelty, but you can control access. You can decide who gets to witness your softness again. The world doesn't need another nice person. It needs people who've learned to be kind, but not naive. Open, but not unguarded. Loving, but not desperate. Maybe that's the cruel irony of love. The same vulnerability that makes connection possible is the same vulnerability that can destroy you. But avoiding pain doesn't protect you, it just makes you empty. Because even the worst heartbreak is proof of one thing. You were capable of deep love. And that is sacred. So what are the unforgivable acts in relationships? Not just betrayal. Not just lies. But the theft of trust, identity, and empathy. And yet, the act that heals them is the same every time. Choosing yourself without apology. Because the truth is this. Some people teach you love. Others teach you boundaries. And the most painful ones teach you who you never want to become. If you felt this, if you saw yourself somewhere in these words, don't look away. That discomfort. That's growth in disguise. Subscribe for more. Because we don't just explain psychology here. We expose it.